All right, welcome to the History and Philosophy of Science in 6 Easy Steps, 2014 edition. So I just wanted to introduce you to the course and to the types of assignments that you'll be doing, what the workload will be like, basically what you can expect. Of course, that doesn't mean you shouldn't read the expectations, which are on the website as well. To start out with, let's answer 3 questions about the course. Why, what, and how? Okay, that makes sense. So first of all, why? Why learn about the history and philosophy of science? And I think I can't really do a better job answering this than the trailer number 2 did, so I would encourage you to take a quick look at that. But I do just want to sum it up in 2 ways. One is science has proven itself to be a very powerful way of looking at the world and solving problems, and you're going to learn more about how science works and why. And so you can use that to make decisions in your life, to solve problems in your life, and maybe even to choose a career path, who knows. And the second thing is the reason that we study history at all. It's because when we look at history, we see patterns. We see patterns in, you've all heard that, history repeats itself. Well, not really repeats itself, but there are patterns. It's basically a study in how humanity works, how the world works, and that's what we're looking at with a particular focus on science. And if we can figure out the patterns, figure out how these things work, then maybe we can predict the future, sort of. And that's how we're going to end the course, is by looking kind of into the future of science and what it might do for us in the future. Okay, so the next question is what? What exactly are we? So the course is broken into 6 weeks, or 6 units, or 6 topics. And let's just scroll down to take a quick look at those. First week, On Giant Shoulders, the history of science in a nutshell. We're going to be getting a bird's eye view of science, taking kind of a broad overview, collecting some data actually on the numbers of discoveries versus time, and we're going to see some interesting patterns, or an interesting pattern, I should say, and this is going to tie into the subsequent weeks and to the final week as well. Second, paradigm shifts. This is where we start to get into the philosophy of science, and one of the most influential philosophers of science, if not the most influential, Thomas Kuhn, and kind of the creator of this concept of paradigm shifts. We're going to start to look at maybe how does science work and what is it, and we're going to continue with that theme in week 3 with Karl Popper and take a more in-depth look at how exactly we would define science. What is it all about, and what is the scientific method, which you've probably heard about, and the picture we're going to get is a little bit different than what you've probably learned in school. All right, and number 4, week 4, the influence of society on science. Here's where we're going to look for explanations for the trends and the patterns that we saw in week 1, and the changes and the paradigm shifts. What are the explanations? Are there causes, are there interactions between science and the rest of life, the rest of history? That's what we're going to be looking at there. Possible causes of the scientific revolution. Week 5, we're going to flip this around. We're going to look at how science affects society. So week 4, how society affects science. Week 5, how science affects society. And here we're going to look at the importance of science and how it influences other aspects of our lives. And then finally, in the 6th week, we're going to look at the future of science, something that has been called the singularity. And this, I think you'll find very interesting and possibly controversial, and this should stimulate some discussion. Okay, speaking of discussion, let's get to the 3rd question. How are we going to do this? Basically, there's going to be 3 different tasks that you'll be asked to do. And for this, let's take a look at the first week and the things that you're going to be asked to do. So we see the 3 types of things. One is you'll be asked to watch videos in some cases, and you might be asked to do some research. So in this case, there's always going to be a short lecture, kind of like you're watching right now, and that there's going to be one for week 1 as well, and that's not included in this video. Then you might be given some links to look at websites and do some research. You might be given some readings, for example, in Thomas Kuhn's book or online articles. And then you'll be asked to make a product. Now, typically this will be a short essay. Standard 5-paragraph essay is generally good. The first week's a little different. You're going to be asked to make a graph and do an essay. Okay. Now, the nice thing about the first week, though, is that you're not going to have any real reading to do other than the research that you do to make the graph and write the essay. So I'm not going to give you any big readings from the books. So you'll have a reading or a movie to watch or a combination of that, and then you'll have some kind of a product, typically an essay, but you can always substitute the essay with a video of yourself basically presenting the information instead of in a written form. And then finally, there'll always be a discussion. So you can see here the key discoveries discussion. Now, I would really like this discussion to take place on Twitter. But if you don't have a Twitter account, then it can take place on the Moodle forum for this course, which if you scroll up here, you'll see our forum. I went past it right here, the THAPOS-6 forum. This is where you can post stuff, but it also will can happen on Twitter, and that's where I'd rather have it happen. #THAPOS6, one word. And these discussions are not going to be live. It's the kind of thing where you post something that you noticed about the reading or that you thought about, and actually I'm going to be giving you prompts, so I'm going to be giving you questions to discuss, and then you reply to each other, and you'll get credit for those and scored on those discussions. So those are the 3 types of things that we'll be doing. And I think that you're going to find this very stimulating and not too hard. That's why it's called 6 Easy Steps. However, it's going to be, I think, challenging enough to be, as I said, interesting. Okay, and I'm looking forward to it. And if you need to get in touch with me at any time, just email me. My email's on the website here, and you can also message me right through Moodle. All right, looking forward to getting started on this. If you want to get an early start here in the weeks before we get going, well, it's a little bit more than a week now, you can start by listening to Thomas Kuhn's book. That would be a great thing to do. You can also read Popper's article here if you want. And if you have any questions before we get started, just let me know.